We begin tonight with more tensions between Russia and NATO. Russia says that it is suspending its diplomatic mission to NATO and closing the Moscow offices of the Western Military Alliance. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov announced the move today, saying Russia's office in Brussels, where NATO is headquartered, would close on the 1st of November. He said the move is in retaliation to NATO's expulsion of several Russian delegates who were suspected of spying. Now, the closure marks a new low in relations between NATO and Russia. Let's listen to what the Russian Foreign Minister said earlier today.
Due to the deliberate steps by NATO, there are almost no proper conditions for the basic diplomatic activities. And in response to NATO's actions, we are suspending the activities of our permanent mission to NATO, including the work of our main military representative.
All right, DW's Brussels correspondent Terry Schultz. She is covering this story for us. Good evening to you, Terry. This looks like, at this stage, this is just diplomatic tit for tat. Is that what it is? And have we had a reaction from NATO tonight?
Certainly, Brent. Moscow warned that when NATO announced it would kick out 8 Russian diplomats, accusing them of spying, that there would be a retaliation, and what Moscow called at that time asymmetrical retaliation, and that's what's happened now. At a political level, you know, NATO and Moscow haven't really been talking much, so it might seem that this doesn't have a huge practical implication, but in reality, there have been 3 military staff from NATO stationed in Moscow, keeping military-to-military communications open, and my sources say that's going to be a real loss when these 3 people are kicked out the end of the month.
I want you to take a listen to what the German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas, what he said today about the situation.
This makes everything more difficult, and the situation is already difficult. This will extend even further the phase of icy relations. I believe that when it comes to NATO, where we are dealing with military issues and with security issues, this is anything but helpful. This will seriously damage relations.
So, Terry, we heard it right there from the German Foreign Minister saying that this will seriously damage NATO-Russian relations. Is that how it's being seen within the confines of NATO?
Certainly it doesn't help, although NATO-Russian relations were already pretty much at a low point. The Russian delegation has been downsized forcibly by NATO a couple of times since 2014. And so, you know, there really hasn't been much dialogue. Russia didn't ever replace its ambassador to NATO now for years. But certainly, as Heiko Maas says, this doesn't help. NATO, for its part, is blaming Russia for the problem and saying it does remain open to dialogue and has been inviting the Kremlin to hold a meeting with NATO and NATO-Russia Council, as it's called, for the last 18 months and has not gotten a positive response from Moscow. So, yeah, the spiral is on a downward trend, but it's not one that started with this.
All right, our very own Terry Schultz with the latest tonight from Brussels. Terry, as always, thank you.